For over 40 years, he has defined Kenya's political class, all the time being the face of Kenya's opposition politics. And now, he has set his eyes on the continent mission, the AUC, seeking to be the chair of the commission. Raila Odinga says his new mandate will take him away from the local political scene as he transitions to serving the continent. His announcement stopped for a moment the pulse of the Kenyan political scene, with pundits arguing this is a new beginning as leaders scramble to inherit that which has been left by Odinga. It is a transition that seems to be up for grabs, but who can feel it?
This country cannot afford to have a political void. Hiyo ndio nataka unielewe.
Opposition continues. Issues of Kenyans must be aired out. Our second in line of command was Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka.
Kalonzo Musyoka, just like in 2017, just like in 2013, does not have the national profile, nor does he have the national muscle to call himself an opposition leader. His party has very few members of parliament. I think they should be maybe 3 or 4 members of parliament. You cascade that down to county assemblies. Wiper Party has very little to show. Even if Kalonzo Musyoka joined league with Eugene Wamalwa, with the DAP party, joined league with the dead Jubilee party, you are not likely to see a national profile or a muscle.
There is anybody currently in the current political dispensation that will fit in his shoes? No one. If President Ruto was in opposition, he still wouldn't fit in Raila Odinga's shoes, and we know that President Ruto is a master politician. But I doubt that even he would fit in the shoes that Raila Odinga would be leaving behind.
The changes now brought about by the Zuma generation protests seem to have forced the political class to relook and realign their strategy.
Kalonzo Musyoka could be consistent in his opposition to the government if he could get people to brand him as a strong, consistent politician and bring out his not being so wealthy as a strength and not as a weakness. He would stand a very good chance to take over from Raila Odinga, and especially with the support of people like Eugene Wamalwa, Mother Karua. They need to bring everybody who is not in the government to be on their side, and then they need also to analyze themselves and see what is their weaknesses and the strength of each, and see how they are going to improve on the weaknesses and capitalize on their strengths.
The protests led to the formation of the broad-based government, allowing the head of state to include the opposition in his government, a move that pundits argue is a way to gain the support of the opposition strongholds. Ruto included ODM leaders from areas he has not enjoyed much support.
Watu wa Kisumu hamjambo.
Hassan Joho from Mombasa to get the coastal vote, Opiyo Wandayi and John Badi from Nyanza to consolidate Odinga's home turf, and Wycliffe Oparanya from Western to get all the votes in Western in his basket.
Na mwisho, Mheshimiwa Rais, sisi tumeamua kusafiri na wewe. Tumeamua kutembea na wewe bega kwa bega.
A brief period. And Uhuru did that. He launched a few projects, went to Kisumu, launched a bath in Kisumu, commissioned a few roads, which is what William Ruto is doing. And for people who have been disenfranchised for years, that is welcome. Anyone would welcome such development. That you have now been seen by the national government could change people's minds. Their hearts, however, are a different scenario, but that could buy him some political capital. It is not a guarantee that that capital would, win him 2027 election.
In the 4 northern counties of Mandera, Wajir, Garissa and Marsabit, Raila got 326,816 votes, while Ruto got 164,306. The North has voted for Odinga for years, but now this may change if Odinga supporters agree to vote for Ruto after their newfound union. In Western, Raila got 976,333 votes, while Ruto got 630,282. In Nyanza region, Raila got 1,879,112, while Ruto got 280,438. The city of Nairobi gave Raila 748,395, while Ruto got 561,775. Data from the IEBC shows that Ruto's inroads to opposition strongholds in the run-up to the 2022 elections gave him an edge, leading to his win. And now, if that support will shift with Odinga's support of the president, then the head of state could have an edge in 2027 for a re-election. The main question, however, is whether that is enough considering his dwindling support from the Mount Kenya region.
Opposition base may now shift to regions. And I mentioned that the yellow fever that swept Mount Kenya may not do that anymore. So that would be the region that could now become the opposition base. But again, you do not discount the youthful movement. The youth, if they decided to, they could make sure that we have a historic election where you do not know which community is voting which direction. Because the youth are spread across the country.
Danger with Mount Kenya is that they never learn. When President Uhuru had a handshake with Raila Odinga, they crucified him for having betrayed President William Ruto, who was then his deputy president. And they thought him a very bad man, an evil man that needed not to be heard. They walked away from him and they told us that William Ruto is different. He's not going to do what Uhuru did, but he has even done more. He's not only had a handshake with Raila Odinga, he's given him 6 slots in the government when the Mount Kenya has 7. And then, instead of asking themselves what is happening in the political space, now they're angry at the President William Ruto. They have started looking at him as a man who's betrayed the deputy president. Now the problem is, politics is very unkind to people who do not learn, and they must be very careful.
Na jana tulikubaliana ya kwamba hiyo uongozi ya upinzani baada ya miaka mitatu, hiyo kiongozi ya upinzani tutatafutia watu wengine, kwa sababu sisi wote tutakuwa tuko upande wa serikali.
Azimio leaders are now throwing themselves into the ring to gain the support of Gen Z and Raila Odinga's home turf, with Kalonzo Musyoka fronting himself as the best bet.
Being a leader of opposition is like being a woman. You don't have to tell people that you are a woman. It is self-evident. So, mambo ya Raila ya Kalonzo kushinda kusema kuwa yeye ni leader of opposition, he should do 3 things. He must be it, act it, and live it. Raila hakututangazia, Raila hakutuambia sisi, tuliona tu, we saw it and we felt it. So for him to be the leader of opposition, we will see it, not hearing it.
Hatutaki kujilazimisha, hatuwezi. Mimi sio mtu wa kujilazimisha kwa mambo haya. But I also want you to know leadership comes naturally. Wakati mwingine wana grab kidogo.
The Orange Party has been Odinga's main vehicle, and now with his exit, pundits argue that the future of the party now hangs in the balance.
Will disintegrate. It may not happen in the next couple of months, but ODM will disintegrate. There are people who will leave ODM because they have been sidelined. People who thought they were apparent heirs to the throne of Raila Odinga or to the throne of party leader. Those people will leave and decamp from ODM.
The country is expected to continue witnessing political realignments brought about by the wave of protests led by the nation's Generation Zoomers and Odinga's exit from the local political scene.
2, 1, and that is the launch of the Raila Odinga for AUC chairmanship.
Brian Amuai, K24, Nairobi.